there, it's Karen here, also known as Crafty LittleMissK, and I am bringing you a gift box today. And this is a very special gift box because this is a bee bomb box, hence the little bee. And my little bee is a wobbler as well. So what I'll do is I will open it up, show you inside. Okay, I'll show you the sides first. I've got bees around the side. Now this is my prototype, so this I decided afterwards that the lid hides half the bees. So I'm just going to put bees in the bottom corners from now on. But let's just take this black ribbon off, just black satin ribbon, and with a little label, and that's been tied on with a bit of baker's twine. When you lift it off, it's got bee bombs in it. Okay, so I'm going to put that off to one side because they're in there nicely. I don't want to disturb that. I've got a bag next to me here, and you might see I've got a little bit of dirt on the side here. This is because these are the bee bombs, and what they are is they are bags, hessian bags, that have clumps of wildflower seed balls inside. The seed balls are made up with clay and some topsoil, and what you do is you just scatter them in the garden or somewhere, somewhere that gets a nice sunny position. Can be watered or have, as long as it's not sheltered so it gets rained on. Ideally planted spring and autumn, which is perfect because we're in the spring now. And it's to encourage the bees back, because I don't know about the rest of the country, the rest of the world, sorry, but here in the UK, our bees are in decline, our honeybees are in decline, and we want to encourage them back. And so I thought this would be a good idea for some friends of mine, because they've all got lovely gardens as well, and I'm sure they would be joining in with this as well, because I'm going to put some in my garden too. Anyway, what you get, I got these from Amazon, but you can go to beebombs.com and get them directly from them. And so you get your bee bomb bag, and then you get a leaflet that tells you all about it, and it also lists all the wildflowers in the pack in here as well that you're likely to get. I mean, I can't guarantee every single one, but they're all a mix anyway. You don't even have to do any, if I'm not a gardener and I can do this, you don't need to garden, you don't need to dig holes or anything, just scatter them on your garden. Apparently sometimes it takes, depends on what time of the year you'd plant them. It might be next year that you actually get flowers, but they'll start growing on pretty much straight away apparently. Anyway, so let's move this off to one side and pop that back in its place. I'm just going to give this a little shake just to get rid of all that soil that's on there. Right, so let's get started. So back to the box for a moment. If I just bring it back. So this is a reinforced box, both the lid and the base. Okay, so it's nice and sturdy, because they're not heavy, but they're weighty enough that an ordinary single layer of card might be a little bit flimsy for them. Okay, and my little wobbler mechanism came from Amazon, and I've got this is them here. So you're looking for action wobbles, mini action springs. Okay, and they're just little plastic springs. You'll probably have a go at making your own with some floristry wire, but I'm not that clever. And it's got like a little, like a little spring inside there, and you attach one to the bee, or one to the thing that you want to wobble, and then one to the base. I usually do it that way round because it's got a bigger area of glue, and obviously if you're fiddling around with the bee, making it wobble or whatever you're doing, then you make sure there's plenty of adhesive on there so it doesn't fall off. I actually take off the paper and I cut it down to size a little bit because they're a little bit big for the bees, and then this bit in the middle I just added a little bit of glue as well, just to make sure it stayed secure. Anyway, so let's pop those out the way and get started, shall we? So what you're going to need first of all are 2 pieces of card. You need a piece of card which is 12 by 12, and I've already scored this. I'll tell you the measurements in a moment. And you also need a piece of card, and again, as you can see, I've scored and cut this one, which is 8 1/4 by 8 1/4, 2 squares. All right, so for the base, what you'll need to do is put it onto your scoreboard and score it at 1.5, at 4, at 8, and at 10.5, and basically you're making a 4-inch square box. Okay, and it's going to be, what's that difference there, 2.5 inches tall. Okay, and then with the lid, any centimetre measurements will be on my blog, which will be listed down below here. Yes, so the lid, again, like I said, it was 8 1/4 by 8 1/4, and you score that at 1, at 2 1/8, at 6 1/4, and at 7 3/8, and you do that on both sides to get the equal sides there. And then I've cut these ones down already and I've folded it as well, but we'll do it from scratch on this one. So again, like I said, this is going to be a reinforced lid, so it's going to sort of come around like that and then that will fold over to make it nice and firm. All right, but we'll go back to the base just for a second. So I have pre-stamped this already as well, just to make sure that the video isn't too long. All right, and I've done it like this. So like I said, on the sides, instead of having 3 bees, I've done 1 in each corner looking upwards like that, so that when the lid comes on, you can still see the bees. Okay, so let's get this folded. In fact, I've got some pre-done. I'm just going to show you basically what to do, although most people know how to make a box, I think. So you just want to score all of those lines. All the way around. If this was paper, I'd probably just use my hands, but because it's card, it's quite thick, I'm using my bone folder just to reinforce that crease and make sure it's nice and sharp, because we want some nice sharp corners on the box. Okay, and so what we'll do then, I'll just grab some larger scissors instead of my little ones. Start in any corner, and this is what I do. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut just so you see these bumps here. Okay, so what I've done, I scored it that side, turned it over so you've got the bumpy side facing up, and I'm going to be cutting just inside that score line there, just to create a nice edge, because that's going to be the corner of the box. Okay, so all the way down, nice easy down to that score line. And then do the same on this one. This one's not so important because we're going to be cutting these bits away. And then what we need to do is miter this piece, because that's the piece that's going to fold in onto there, here. Take that piece away there, miter this piece, and then in here, okay, and in this side as well. And you can make the miters as deep or as shallow as you want. It basically, it's just to make sure that when you fold up your sides and you do this, you can actually fold that over without there being any resistance on that part there. Okay, so you'll do that there, turn it and do it there, turn it, do it there, turn it and do it there, and you will be left with, Blue Peter style, this. Okay, which looks like the top I just showed you. Okay, so we've got this now. So we're going to turn it over, and what we're going to be doing is putting adhesive on these 4 flaps to start with. Okay, I'm not going to actually use the wet glue because I find it takes too long to dry. I would use wet glue off camera, like when I made the previous boxes I used wet glue, but because I want to keep it short, I'm actually going to use some fast fuse. Now fast fuse isn't available at Stampin' Up anymore, okay, so I wouldn't normally use it on camera, but just for speed, because this stuff is like magic. I'm really devastated they stopped selling it because it was brilliant. It holds really well, and it's just as good as wet glue for holding boxes and bags together. So like I said, you'll use your wet glue. I wouldn't use the snail or like a semi-permanent adhesive, because the box obviously needs to be strong, and that's the only problem with this fast fuse. It's really, I've got a friend of mine who had a love-hate relationship with this stuff. She loved it because she said it was really good, but she hated it because it got stuck everywhere and it'd clag up inside the nozzle here. And you always have to give a flick just to release the tape. Okay, so we're ready to do this now. So we're just going to bring it up until we get a nice corner there. Okay, and just stick that down, and do that on all 4 sides. I'm just going to make sure that flap is inside there. That's it. Okay. And then I'm just going to go in there with my bone folder. I'm just going to pull these back a bit so you can see a bit better. I'm just going to go in there and just reinforce all that adhesive there. Just give it a really good press down to make sure it's really firmly stuck. Like that. Okay. And then on the top bit you would use, I'm not going to use that this time, I'm actually going to use the wet glue, because this is what you would be doing at home. So you would just want to put some glue on here. Not too much, okay, and then just fold that in, press it down, give it a little rub, use your bone folder, give it a good old rub, make sure it's really stuck down well. Rubbing it and like ironing it, if you like, with the bone folder will make that glue spread out and adhere really well to the card. Okay, so we're going to do that on each of the other flaps that's left. Okay, I'll just pre-do all of them and then I'll just flick them over real quick. Right, yes, so I'm making these for on stage. Now, if you know about Stampin' Up, you know that they have a conference twice a year, April and November, when they release their new catalogue, show new products to the demonstrators, and it's a chance for us demonstrators to get together, meet other people, catch up with old friends that maybe live further apart. I mean, the team I belong to, most of them are based up in the Midlands or slightly further north, and so I only actually see them when I go on stage. And the reason I belong to a team that's so far away is because a really good friend of mine, Anne, we've been friends on Facebook. Facebook friends, you know, one of those people you very rarely meet. Well, I've actually met Anne, but I met her inverted commas, on another crafting group, and we started messaging each other privately, making comments about different things that, you know, things that happened online, things that happened in the crafting group. Found we got on really, really well. She was the one that introduced me to Stampin' Up, and then when I went to my first on stage, she said, "Come stay with me," and so I did, and we've been really good friends ever since. So this is going to be, one of these is going to be for her, and some of the others are going to be for the initial team. So like it would be like Anne is my upline, if you like, on Stampin' Up. So it'd be her upline, Julie, who's been a great help to me, helped me out a lot with my questions when I first joined, and a couple of others as well. Okay, so that's the box made. All right, so we can pop that off to one side, and we're going to get the lid done now. And I'm not going to do any stamping on the lid. It's just going to be perfectly plain, apart from that bee when I put it on. So I'm just going to pop back with the fuse just for the second. Like I said, you would use the wet glue. You could use tear and tape as well, okay, but I just want to do this real quick so that you're not stuck looking at the video for ages, which is when it's just really nothing more than just a box. Okay, but I like it. I love the bees, and I really want to promote this campaign to bring the bees back as much as I can. Right, so let's get that done now as well. So again, back into the corner, make sure it's a nice corner there, and go all the way round. Give it a little rub as you go. I'm just going to make sure that flap goes inside, not outside. Pop that one in, a little rub with your fingers, and there. And then just go back in, like I said, like on the base with your bone folder. Just give that a little press to make sure that's well and securely stuck down. And then just bend these back slightly, because we're going to use wet glue to do the flaps here. This is the reinforcing part. This is what helps to make it nice and sturdy. So the colours I've used is, the green one is Old Olive, and this one is Basic Black. I absolutely love the names that Stampin' Up give their colours. Almost gives them like character, I think. Alright, so I'm just going to rub all that down now, just to make sure that's really well and truly stuck. The glue is spread out and it's not going to come undone. Okay, right up into the corners, make sure those corners are nice and sharp. There we go, almost done. Oops. Nearly there. Okay, so for the moment of truth, there we go, and it stays. Okay. All right, so that's that base, that's that all that done. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get my bee bomb and pop it inside. Just give it a little fold over. You can see it's actually making the sides bow a little bit, but the lid will bring that back. And then I've got a leaflet already pre-folded that's going to sit down in there. So the first thing you see is bee bombs, and pop the lid on, and that's it. Now, to make sure that lid stays down, because obviously it's sitting slightly proud, I'm just going to use the ribbon to act as a sleeve or a band. You can actually undo the ribbon, or you can just slide it off. I prefer to slide them off, because once I get that ribbon done up, I'll never get it done again the same way. So this is the hardest part, I think, is actually tying a ribbon while you're on camera and trying to make sure that ribbon goes perfectly first time. Not bad at all, eh? Okay, so I just need to trim up one side here. There we go. Actually, that loop is a little bit higher than the other one. Beautiful. Okay. And then finally, I have also got my label pre-made up in it. And what I should have done before I tied that was actually looped it over the ribbon to tie it on. So let's see if I can get the ribbon again perfect like it was before. Probably not. I will have to faff and fiddle off screen, I think. Let me just pop that down there. Let's have a go, shall we? So just make it nice and snug. Not too snug that it won't slide off. I've actually pulled it quite snug because by the time I've tied the bow, it will have loosened up anyway. Bring it round. This is not as good a bow. It's all twisted, that's better. There we go. Oh, let's put that underneath there so it's actually in the middle a bit more. Yeah, that bow's not as nice as the other one. I'll probably fiddle with that off screen later and fix it properly. Anyway, so the last thing to do is the bee. Now the bee I cut from, this is a set called, because the whole set is to do with dragonflies, but there is a bee on it. So this one is actually called Detailed Dragonfly Thinlets. These are all the dragonflies, and there's the little bee just there. All right, and if you cut him out just in black card, you don't need to stamp him. You get a little bee like this, and then I've just punched two circles in the yellow using my 1/2" circle punch, and then stuck them on the back. The one circle I've cut down to like a quarter, if you like, to put behind his head. Just stuck them down with a little bit of glue, waited until it dried, and then stuck the mechanism on. So what I've done to try and hide all that white, expansive white, as you can see, if I bring it up, you can see there's a lot of white there. I've actually also cut a 1" circle, cut into it like a quarter, like into the radius, and then I've punched out the middle part using the 1/2" circle, and then that will hook over. Once I've glued this down, it will hook over the spring. And then you can glue it down and it will hide a lot of the white mechanism, in theory. So let me just take that off. Right, there's a little bit of backing paper on here, which I'm now going to get off. There we go. And then I'm going to pop him in. Let's put him on the other side so that I've got a little bit of interest. So they're slightly different. Okay, just press him down gently on here. And then get that black, and I'm just going to put some glue on it ready. If I can get the glue to come out. That's because it's laying down, not upside down. There we go. And then, so I don't get too much glue on my fingers, I'm going to use my tweezers, if I can pick it up. There we go. And let's pop him underneath there. Just lift the bee up slightly. I'm going to open that a little bit so I can put it around the spring. That's it, it's on. And then stick it down and just hold it down for a few seconds for it to dry. Okay, that should be enough, and there we go. So you can see the circle of the black, but it kind of like hides the white a little bit, and my little bee is just a little buzzing around just there. Okay, so that's it. So I hope you enjoy it, and you like to have a go. Like I said, if you're interested in joining the campaign to keep those bees alive in this country, then please do contact the beebomb.com, or if you want to buy the bags, just go straight onto, you can go onto Amazon if you want. They're the same price. I think Amazon, if you've got Prime, it's free postage. So let me just pop that on there. And of course it's got stuck, that's it. So there we go. Right. So there's our 2 boxes. I've got another 3 to make, so there's going to be 5 in total. And I hope you enjoyed this little project. And I mean, the gift box itself is adorable anyway. I mean, it's a good size. You can get a lot in there. Yeah, let me know what you think. Please subscribe if you haven't done already to see more of my videos in the future. And if you liked it, give us a thumbs up. If you didn't, maybe just scroll on by. Yeah, I'll be back soon with another tutorial, and have a great time. Bye.